Before the mirror, the lines looked deeper. After a shower, they looked softer. That whiplash was not imagination, it was moisture. If practical, evidence-minded skincare for real life is your kind of topic, consider subscribing so you never miss a video like this, because this story started in a kitchen, not a cosmetics counter. A lot of wrinkle panic after 50 is really a three-part problem hiding in plain sight. First, sun damage that built up quietly for decades. Second, a skin barrier that leaks water faster than it used to. Third, dryness that makes the surface look crinkled, even when the deeper structure has not changed much. Deep wrinkles are real, but many fine lines are partly an optics problem. The skin is like fabric, and fabric shows every crease when it is stiff and dry. The beauty industry rarely explained that difference because it is not great for business. A jar that costs a week of groceries sounds powerful. A routine that focuses on water, barrier lipids, and sunscreen sounds boring. But boring works, and when something works, it usually works for a reason that can be measured, not because it was rare, exclusive, or infused with miracles. More than anything else, the outermost layer of skin behaved like a roof. When the roof held, water stayed in. When the roof cracked, water escaped, and the surface looked rougher. That water loss had a name in dermatology, transepidermal water loss, and it was one reason a face could look tired at breakfast and calmer by lunch. A face oil fit into this story in a very specific way. It did not hydrate the way water did. It helped slow evaporation like a thin coat of wax on a wooden table. That was why oils could make skin feel smoother, even when they did not change the underlying biology overnight. And that was also why oils could be a problem for some people, because a seal that was too heavy could trap debris, clog pores, and start a whole new argument with your skin. Drop a comment and let us know where you're watching from. In a dry climate, a little barrier support can feel like a miracle. In a humid climate, the same oil can feel greasy by noon, and that difference matters. So which kitchen oil belonged in this video? Not the trendy one, not the one that smelled like a candle store. The oil that made the most sense, on paper and in dermatology research, was plain sunflower seed oil, the kind that already sat in many pantries. Sunflower seed oil was not famous because it was exotic. It was famous in skin science conversations because of its fatty acids, especially linoleic acid, a building block that showed up again and again whenever researchers talked about barrier lipids. When the barrier was happier, the skin held water better. When the skin held water better, the surface scattered light more evenly. That was the softer lines effect people described, and it could show up quickly. Now here is the twist that most people never heard. Another common kitchen oil, olive oil, sounded like it should be perfect. It was natural, it was old school, it was practically a symbol of health. But good to eat and good for the skin barrier were not the same claim, and research separated those ideas fast. In a study published in Pediatric Dermatology in early 2013, adult volunteers applied 6 drops of olive oil to one forearm and 6 drops of sunflower seed oil to the other twice daily for 4 weeks. The researchers did not just ask how it felt, they measured barrier integrity using transepidermal water loss, and they even used tape stripping to challenge the skin and see how it responded. The result was uncomfortable for olive oil fans. Olive oil significantly decreased stratum corneum integrity in volunteers with a history of atopic dermatitis, and it also showed damaging effects in healthy volunteers when deeper layers were challenged. After 20 tape strips, transepidermal water loss was higher after olive oil by about 9.89 grams per square meter per hour on average for all volunteers. The paper also described the stratum corneum becoming thinner at the olive oil site, around 23% thinner than control in an earlier cohort, which is not what anyone wanted from a wrinkle fix. Sunflower seed oil told a different story. In that same study, sunflower seed oil had no significant harmful effect on barrier function or stratum corneum integrity in either group. Even better, when hydration was assessed, the day after the last application, hydration was significantly higher after sunflower seed oil treatment, with the largest improvement in the group with a history of atopic dermatitis, around 18% greater. Wrong oil, wrong outcome. It was that simple. Another quick note mattered for real life. The researchers also pointed out a practical problem. Sunflower oil was not one single identical product forever. Different varieties had different compositions, and high oleic versions could behave differently. That was not meant to scare anyone. It was meant to remind you that skincare was chemistry, even when it came from a sunflower. Here was the honest version of the 3 weeks promise. Any visible change in 3 weeks was most likely about hydration, comfort, and surface texture. The kind of improvement the American Academy of Dermatology described when it said moisturizing could reduce the appearance of some fine lines by trapping water. Structural change in deeper wrinkles usually took longer, and most products needed at least 6 weeks, sometimes up to 3 months, before results were judged. If that still sounded like a win, it should. Feeling better in your own skin counted. Now for the simple routine, built for the way people actually live. First, patch test. The American Academy of Dermatology suggested dabbing a small amount on the inner forearm twice a day for 4 to 5 days. No hero moves, no full face application on day 1. That one step prevented a lot of regret. Second, use water first. After cleansing at night, leave the skin slightly damp. If you liked a light, boring moisturizer, apply it next. The goal was to add water and humectants, then lock them in. Oil was the lock, not the drink. Third, use a tiny amount of oil. A few drops warmed between the palms, then pressed into the skin, not rubbed like sanding would. Avoid the eyelids at first. Keep it away from the nostrils if congestion was common, and skip fragranced oils entirely because irritation made lines look worse. Fourth, keep warnings about protection, not oil. If you used sunscreen, that was the foundation. The American Academy of Dermatology recommended daily broad-spectrum sunscreen, or a facial moisturizer, with broad-spectrum protection, with an SPF of at least 30. That mattered more than any oil, because ultraviolet light was one of the fastest ways to deepen the very wrinkles everyone was trying to soften. If you were acne-prone, or prone to rosacea or seborrheic dermatitis, oils could be tricky. Cleveland Clinic dermatologists pointed out that many face oils were comedogenic, and that strong fragranced oils could irritate or trigger allergy. That did not mean you could never use an oil. It meant you should be cautious and be willing to stop if your skin protested. One more reality check belonged here because it saved people money. If the goal was collagen support, oil was not the main lever. Retinoids were. Cleveland Clinic explained that topical retinoids like retinol increased collagen production and could reduce the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles. Mayo Clinic also noted that tretinoin could help with fine wrinkles and roughness caused by the sun, but it did not erase deep wrinkles. That was the honest lane, surface improvement and long-term texture, not a total rewind. So what did this leave you with at the end of 3 weeks? If your face felt less tight, if makeup sat better, if the surface looked calmer and a little brighter, you probably did not reverse aging, you repaired the roof. And for a lot of people over 50, that was the difference between fighting their reflection and feeling like themselves again.